Hello, everybody. Hi. Thank you for tuning in for the last part of the web development series. So excited to put a wrap to this series and get y'all your projects and your portfolios that you can deploy online, which is going to be super duper cool. I see a couple of people responding already. React, yes. We're going to have an optional React feature at the end if you'd like to implement it. Since this is an intro workshop, it's going to be more just basic JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, but there will be a fun little game that we can implement in React super easily that I'm going to show y'all at the end. So keep tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. Yes, so excited. We're going to learn so much today. We're going to put all of the knowledge that y'all have learned from the past 3 parts of these sessions, and we're going to build a really cool website. We're going to build upon the website that we've been building. So exciting. We're going to have a really nice website. So I'm excited. Hope y'all are too. But I'm super excited to see y'all on this stream. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's been a really long series, but really glad that y'all made the time to come to this stream. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. 5:02, so we'll wait for a couple of people while I go over the intro slides, but we'll probably get started sometime soon. But by the way, Before we get started, I strongly encourage you to check in at this link. It is really important for us to know how many people are coming to each event, and also really important for you to check in for these events so that you can get your points. You're spending a long time and a lot of your time at these events, so we want to make sure that you're getting rewarded properly for that through these points. So make sure that you check in at this event or at this link. I'm not going to take it down, or no, I am going to take it down in a little bit, but let me know if you need it at any point and I can pull it back up. So that's the check-in link. Make sure you check in. I'm going to go and get started. So just as a quick background, hi, I'm Varshini. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. And a fun fact about me is that I've moved 13 times throughout my life. So if any of y'all moved a lot or have moved that much, let me know. I love to hear moving stories. It's very interesting. But yeah, so we're going to go a little bit more into the planning of our website today. So typically we've been working on like just learning and like hardcore, just like this is what we're going to be doing, learning JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. But today it's going to be more broad, and we're just going to add a lot of different features into our original project. So to give you all a sneak peek of what you're going to learn, we're going to have a structured header on our website with some navigation links. So like home, bio, projects, things like that. We're going to add a dark mode toggle for users because some of y'all were requesting last time that I switched to dark mode on VS Code. After someone said that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I should add a feature for that in the stream. So the audience asks and the audience receives. Now you will be able to implement a dark mode toggle button for your own project. We're going to have an About Me section. We're going to keep using that toggle button and add some more usability to that toggle feature. We're going to have icons next to each of our skills for a more like clean and modern look. We're going to have like a contact section. So if somebody's coming on your page and you're like, wow, this is a really cool person, I want to talk to them, we're going to have a contact section for that. And then we'll deploy your website. So I'll show y'all how to deploy on GitHub Pages or Vercel, which is a new addition. We've been deploying our pages on GitHub Pages, or deploying our websites on GitHub Pages, but I'm going to show y'all how to do Vercel this time too, just in case, because this time we're adding some dynamic code to our website, which GitHub Pages sometimes can't handle. So it is good to learn new technologies, which is why I'm steering y'all towards Vercel, just because GitHub Pages is not very good at displaying dynamic code. Sometimes it just can't. So you want your code that you've worked so hard on to be able to be displayed properly. So before we're jumping into the code, ooh, yes, hello, yes, woohoo, part 4, lovely to see you here. Been a stream warrior. I've seen you in all the streams, so that is lovely. I love seeing repeat stream watchers. It's lovely. Hello, hi. Yeah, keep texting in the chat when y'all are here and what you're excited about, and I'll just keep going and highlighting you occasionally. But before we jump straight into the code, it's really important to plan. Kind of in the previous streams, we've just kind of been going and doing it on the run, doing it on the go. But it's really important to plan beforehand. So this is kind of going to be like how you should be. This session is going to be how you should ideally be developing a website, with a lot of planning and a lot of structuring so that you have more function to your websites than just building something as soon as you can. Hello, Mango. Nice to see y'all here again. So for our website, for example, we're planning, and our sections are going to be, we're going to have a header, like I was saying, and it's going to have our name, like a navigation links, things like that. And we're going to have our bio, and it's going to be a short bio with toggleable, a toggle button so that you can add additional details. Then we've got our skills section, our project section, our footer, and potentially a bonus, dark mode, and a fun little game with React. So it's really important to plan things out. For y'all, I have already planned it out because that's what I'm here for. But when y'all are building your own websites, you want to be able to plan something and build it out in advance so that you don't just like run into problems on the flow. Oh, this is very sweet. Thank you, Chase Atlantic. I really appreciate that you think I explain things interestingly. I try. Yeah, it's kind of a resume website. So I've built out the end goal of this website, and it will be a resume like portfolio. So if you're within the computer science field, which I'm assuming you are if you're tuning in the Global Hack Week, if you're building out a portfolio. A lot of people in computer science will have a portfolio with their projects and their skills and their links to like references and things like that on their website. So that's the purpose of this stream, to give you a quick introduction into web development and help you create like a tangible deliverable out of this stream, because you're investing 8 hours of your time into this series. So I want to make sure that you're coming out with something that you can use. So even if you might in the future want to create a more advanced portfolio, or like something that has a little bit more like oomph to it, you can always do that later. But this is just kind of like a placeholder while you're learning more skills. So hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, so like I said, I have this ready for y'all, but in the future, definitely make sure that you're planning. Oh, and also, let me share the link again to the Google document. So this is a Google document that will have some of our code on it. So you'll notice that the document is completely empty except for a link. That is by design. We're going to be coding everything from scratch. I know that y'all have some what's it called? You already have your projects from part ones, part two, and part three. So I'm building upon that, but a lot of people in this stream are newbies or haven't really watched all three of the parts. So we're gonna code it all together live. If you're noticing that I'm coding something and you're like, wait, I coded that. How do you have that? Feel free to just keep editing and customizing on your project and just skip that specific part. I'm doing it for everyone because I want everyone to have a final project that we can demo. But yeah, if you notice something repetitive, just don't do it, unless you want two of those features. And also, by the way, I always say that we're going to demo projects, and we have for part one and part two. Part three was a little unfortunate because I had bus problems, but we didn't have time to get to demos. But part two, we have our full 2 hours. We will end in 2 hours from now. And because of that, the last 15 minutes I usually save for project demos. So when we get to that 15-minute mark, I'm going to ask y'all to send me your links for your projects, and then I'll screen share and show your projects to everybody, which is super cool. And you will be forever immortalized in MLH YouTube stream history because you will have your project presented, which is really cool. So now going a little bit more into the actual code. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our document, and we're going to get started on VS Code. So I'm going to code everything. I'm not going to code like type it with y'all because it is way too much code to do that. Previously, I had been doing that. I've been like typing it along with you and showing you live, but again, way too much code for that. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put it on the document and first on VS Code so y'all can type along with me, or type while you watch me. And then I'm going to add it over to the document once we're finished talking about it. So I've got my like project files already done. So I'm gonna make a new one right now for y'all, and I'll copy and paste our code over into there. But oh, by the way, hopefully if you've watched any part of part one, part two, and part three, you've seen that you need VS Code. So go ahead and get that downloaded if you don't have VS Code already. Let me get that download link for you. So usually I'm like, oh, use whatever code editor, like it's fine. But for this specific series, I think it's really important to get VS Code because we're using an extension called Live Server. It's by Rithik Day. And Live Server is super cool. We can use it to deploy like all of our projects instantly. So when you save a change, it goes into the website and updates it instantly, as opposed to like running in your terminal every couple of seconds to see what your changes look like. So download Visual Studio Code. I'm going to switch over to Visual Studio Code to show y'all exactly what I'm doing. But head over there, and I'm going to switch over to the code editor. There you go. So now I'm in my code editor, and remember what I'm going to be doing is just copying and pasting code. Don't worry, I'm not just like copying and pasting it and like leaving it alone. I'm going to explain to y'all what this code means. But again, just for time's sake, I'm not going to type it in because I've been saying I'm going to turn off GitHub Copilot, and I finally did. The reason why I'm saying that is because like every time I try to code something live with y'all, GitHub Copilot steals my thunder and then just writes it for me, and no more of that. So I deleted it. So now we don't even have auto like complete in line. So it takes much longer to type everything out. So as a result of that, I will be pasting the code in. So this is our first section of code. And it's basically going to be the exact same stuff that you've done for part 1, part 2, and part 3. There are a couple of new features, though, that you're going to see here. And one of those features is you're going to see like these new sections. So that's the character set. You're going to want that just so you have universal characters on your website. Same thing with your name as well. So we're adjusting for the width of your screen depending on what device you're on. So that's a new change. And then also here, like I said, we're adding in a navigation bar. So you'll see that new like nav bar, nav links, and you'll see that these link. So that is what those are for. So make sure that you are adding those into your project. And then you'll also see like an ID for a button, theme toggle. So I told you we were going to be implementing dark mode, and that's exactly what we're doing. That little moon symbol is indicative of the dark mode that we're going to implement. So I'm going to go over this code, code along with me as I go over each line and explain to you what it is. You can feel free to type it. I think it's really important to type code once you're learning it at the start so that you can get more involved within your code. So basically, let me go over what this code means. So first up, we've got our doc type HTML. So you probably know what this is just because it's very similar to what it says. But this is just ensuring that we are declaring a document type of HTML. And then here we're also doing HTML lang English. So you'll also notice this is different for part 1, part 2, and part 3, because here we want to declare a language for accessibility and also for search engine optimization. If y'all don't know what SEO is, it's just like when you Google something, the order that the search results come in is based on search engine optimization, which works on these types of things. So like language, alt text, things like that. So important to do that. Feel free to not do it. I just thought it would be an additional interesting piece of information to include, since when you start building more complex projects, you will see this, and I didn't want you to get confused later. So then we've got our meta tags, not to be confused with Meta the company. These are just like metadata, which came before Meta the company. And these tags are so that we can ensure that we have correct character encoding and also a responsive layout. Just like I was talking about before, we've got that universal character layout and then our responsive layout, which is also part of the reason why GitHub Copilot or GitHub Pages don't really work, because you have a responsive page now. So those are those lines. And then obviously we've got our title. This is setting the title for your portfolio page. So I put my name in portfolio, but feel free to do whatever you want. It's totally up to you. Again, like all of this is customization based. I will specifically tell you when something it can be customized, and I want to see you making some changes so that we can have some unique projects. But so far, like none of this has been optional. Like you're kind of going to need this. But this, feel free to customize the title. And then we've got like this big nasty little like section over here of all these links. And I know this looks scary, but I promise it's not. All it is the Google Fonts pre-connect and the link. So what this is basically we are optimizing for font loading, and we're importing the Roboto font with different weights. So the Roboto font I think just looks nice, but feel free to import any other font that you would like. Just go to like googlefonts.com and then find a font that you like. But I imported Roboto because I kind of wanted it, but feel free to do what you want. And also you'll see this like WGHT 300, 500, 700. That's just the weight of the text. So that means like how bold it is. So if you've ever seen like bolded text in Discord, those are weights. So that's what you'll see there as well. And then finally, we've got like our little navigation section over here. So this is our nav bar, like navigation bar, nav bar. And here first we've got our H1 tag. This is going to be our site title / logo. Obviously my name is not a logo, but it's like the site title. That's what we're going to be referencing the site title as. And then we've got our navigation links. So here these are our navigation links, and here we're using an unordered list. You can tell because we're using the UL instead of the OL. Remember, if you remember from way back when we did the first part, and we went over basic JavaScript, unordered lists are UL and ordered lists are OL. But for this, we're just using an unordered list. I didn't really want the numbers because there's no, I guess, preference or ranking in terms of what navigation section you go to first. And each of these links to a section based on ID. So remember, the tag A means a link. So every time you see something underlined, that means that it hyperlinks to somewhere else. Most of these follow to an actual link, hence the HTTPS. But if you'll notice, these have a hashtag, and that's because we are linking to a section based on the ID name. So you don't see that yet, but eventually we will create that section and you'll have that ID name. That'll be created in a little bit. We're building out slowly, starting from the top. And finally, we've got this line. This is just a button. It's got like a moon emoji for toggling the dark and the light theme. Feel free to put anything else, like any other text or any other emoji there. I just thought the moon emoji related the most. So that's our first part. So this is going to be like the head and the navigation bar. So all of our like metadata, all of our titles, things like that. So that's the first part. Hopefully that has made sense so far. And let me know if something's confusing or you're not able to get it typed properly, like whatever may be the issue, let me know. And then we're going to move on to part 2. So that was part 1, and now we're going to go to part 2, which is a little bit cooler in my opinion because we're introducing some new concepts that y'all may have not heard before. So now we're starting here. So we finished up this session with the nav bar. And now we're starting at the header class. So we've got our header hero class, very niche reference, but if y'all remember, I think it was the second stream, maybe the first, I talked about different, it was definitely the second, I was talking about different layouts, and hero is one of those different layouts, so you might recognize that from that stream, and now you know, I was telling you, like, hero is one of the best layouts that you can have. That's why we have it. We're going to have our portfolio look amazing. So then, you know, I say like my heading, I've got like my little paragraph here. I put a break here, not really necessary. I just didn't like the way it looked without a break. Again, we've got our hyperlink, it links to projects, and then I've got my About Me section. So we've got this hero section. This is just this in general, an intro headline. It's got like a little greeting and like an emoji. I've got a short description, and it's linking directly to the projects part of the website, which is super cool. People kind of call this like a call to action button. It's just when like there's a button and you click on it and it does something and it's like calling you to action, hence to click on it. So yeah, it's just like a fun little call to action button there. And then we've got our main wrapper. So you'll notice that or maybe you didn't, but I don't have the closing tag for main yet because that's not currently in the section that we're talking about. But this is where the main content wrapper starts. I'm just writing it here for like clarity in terms of organization, but that's what that is there for. And then finally, we've got our section here, our about section, with a heading and just a short intro paragraph. So if you'll notice here, I say section ID about, and then I call it up here too. So that's what you'll see. If you command click, boom, it redirects you right to the section ID. So if you've got a hashtag, that means that that's not redirecting you to another link. If it's redirecting you to another link, then it'll be underlined and it'll be like https.com, like it'll be an actual URL that you can use. But if it's got this hashtag, it just redirects you somewhere. It redirects you to somewhere that is within your file. So if you click on any of these, they won't be there because we haven't created them yet. But for the about, if you command click, or control click if you're not on a Mac, it redirects you right to that section. So little hack for if you want to find your code and you're like confused about where you are. But yeah, that's what we're doing so far. Oh, let me go back. I see a question. Can you please remind me why we were using class? What was its function? Yeah, so we're building from top bottom, so some things might be a little confusing, but the reason why I used the content class is because this is what we're going to be using for each section. So like each section is going to have repeated information, and that's why we're using like a content class. You don't have to, but it's going to be kind of hard to work around given that like I've structured the code in a specific way. Hopefully that answered your question. So that was the second part, kind of this like about section and our hero layout. And now we're going to go into our skills section. So y'all might already have this. And also it looks like my trying wasn't successful. It looks like it's still auto-generating. Annoying GitHub, but now we're going to add in our skills section. So Zainab, to answer your question a little bit here, if you'll notice, we've got like our like projects, skills, things like that. So if you'll see all of the links that hyperlink, so we've got our about and we've got our skills and we've got our skills and our about. So we're just creating it in this big content class, and then we'll structure that the CSS for that class a little bit differently, and we'll make it look like a certain way. So that way we don't have to use CSS for each section and risk different sections looking different, or just like cause ourselves time waste by trying to restructure every single site or every single section. So yeah, that's why we did that. That way we can just refer to that class as it is. So you kind of led right into my next section, so good on you. But this is the next section. This is our skills section. Hopefully y'all have more skills than this. I kind of just put like whatever came to mind. Feel free to edit to make it more relevant to what your skills are. And by the way, you might see a couple of tags or words that aren't familiar to you. So please keep asking me questions about what these tags and words are. I'm more than happy to help and help you understand what new things are, but I'm hopefully explaining them. But if I miss something, just let me know. So right now, this specific section, we're going, and this is our skills section. So you'll notice the skills ID, and I've got our heading, and then I've got our skills listed. So this skills section, it's just listing like all my important technology. And you'll notice that each skill is kind of wrapped or surrounded, like wrapped like a sandwich. And it's surrounded by this like keyword, this text, this tag, span. We're using span here for styling it kind of like a badge or a pill. The difference between not using span and using span is if you use span, you can have it in this fun structure that we can use for CSS later. But if you don't use span, it's kind of hard to structure these words, which is why we're using it. And also these skills are grouped within this div container. So I was saying before that div is really good. This div tag is really useful for layout, and we're using it for the skills list layout so that we can use CSS and use the flex template that we used previously to make our skills be within a container as opposed to like one is like on the far left and the far right, and it just looks so confusing. Now it's like neat and pretty in a nice little row. So that's what that section is. That's just a quick little skills section. Again, feel free to change this header, these skills. That's all customizable. So now we're going to move on to the next section. So we're going to do projects. And our project section is going to be a bit larger. I literally just like copied and pasted from an online description, so feel free to change it to your actual project descriptions. But again, we've got our project section here. So also, that's another thing. Be careful when you're copying and pasting. Like I'm copying and pasting from like my repo, the code that I've already made. But if you'll notice when I copy and pasted, there was like a weird indentation going on here. So make sure you're checking because if that indentation exists and you try to compile your code, it won't work as you want it to, and it'll just like throw errors and you'll be confused, and then you'll realize that it was just like one small space, which is definitely quite frustrating. So let's go over this section. So you can see I've got my projects, I've got like portfolio, website, and like my description and my heading, and then my description, heading and description. And that's kind of the way I'm structuring my projects. So let's go over a little bit about what each of these sections and structure is. So you can see that I've called it as a div class card. So again, like we're using the classes here once more because I want to structure it like a card, like kind of how we did before in the CSS stream part 2, how I was talking about how I wanted to structure those cards and make them like very visually appealing in terms of layout. Similarly, we're going to use a class and we're going to call it card here because we want all of the projects to look the same and to look very fun and very cool. So if we weren't to use a class, we would have to do it individually, which would be like kind of a hassle and just unnecessary when we can group them all together because they're all projects and they're all the same thing. So this way we can group them together within the card class. So here we have the project set up kind of like cards in a grid layout. So that's why you'll notice here in this div class, I've labeled it projects grid. Very on the nose name conventions there, but that's kind of how I want it. I want like all my projects like a card in this like big projects grid. That's the end goal of what I want it to look like so that we can structure our projects nice and neat. So that's what we've got there. And then you can see that each project card within this div class of card, it's got a title and that's your H3 heading. And it's also got a description and that's your little that's your little paragraph here. And you'll notice that, again, we've got all of them structured into these classes just for consistency. You really don't have to do it. I'm just doing it because I want to structure my text in a certain way and within certain cards. So yeah, and now we're going to move on to the next section. So we're going to add in our interactive section. So this is going to be like a quick little button. So those of y'all that were watching from the previous stream, you might have seen this, or you definitely did do this. We added in a little button. So you might notice that it's a little different from what we did in like the stream about 2 hours before, because in the stream previously, we put this in separate files. Or separate sections, but now we're just putting it all in the same file because we're going to separate our code into an HTML file, a CSS file, and then a JavaScript file. So super exciting. And let me know if y'all like have any suggestions for anything that comes up on this page. Like if you're seeing something and it's like, oh, like button name, and you're like, oh, I have a really creative idea for a button name. Like I want to call it like click on me, or like click to reveal or something like that. If you have creative ideas, let me know. I'm coding this for y'all, so this can be like our group project. So if you have anything that you want to see come up on the screen, let me know and I can change it to that. So let's go over this section just a little bit. So we've got our section ID and it's going to be interactive, which is super cool. It's going to be like a little interactive button. And you've got your title. It's going to be like fun interaction. And again, I just made this silly because like I've already got a portfolio website, but for y'all, Even if you have a portfolio website and you want to make this a little bit more serious, feel free to change the button name, like what the button does, and like if the button links to something. Definitely feel free to customize it as you wish to make it as useful as it can be for you. So here we're adding like user interaction, we're making it more interactive. We've got two buttons, we've got a click me and we've got a reset. So you'll notice that we've also got a message here. So we've got like our message and it's waiting. So this message is going to update every time the button is clicked. So it'll either go to waiting and it'll just change back and forth and click me and reset. So this is super cool. It's just a way that you can have a fun interactive section and fun little interactive button. So again, you might be noticing once more that this is a little bit different from the code we just did, and that's because we're separating it into sections now. So it's a little bit more organized, it's a little bit easier to read, and since this is going to be your final product from this tech track, I want to make something that y'all can be proud of when you upload it to your GitHub repos. Before the code is kind of like all over the place and like a little bit like disorganized, just because I wanted to like push out the most amount of knowledge and get you all the features that you needed to make this project today. But now that this is your final project, we're going to make sure that it's like the most posh, like organized thing that we can have. So that's going to be our interactive section. And now we're going to add in our contact form. So this is like a little bit more of a complicated section. Feel free to customize it. You don't have to add it if you want to. I just think it's super cool to add in a contact section, even if it's not like genuinely sending anywhere, which by the way, this contact section is not actually going anywhere. That is very complicated to implement that functionality. But we are going to make like a fake contact form just because it's cool, and connecting with backend is a little bit more difficult, so that could be another stream. But this is just to get something started, so your whoever's visiting your website can be like, wow, like they've got backend implemented, like that's cool, like they've already got all of this working out for them. So you can get started on that. So let's go ahead and explain what this section means though. Again, this is our contact section, so you can see with your section ID, cross-reference it with up there. Let's go back, control click, boom, it picks us down here. Goes based off the section ID. So I've got my heading, I've got contact me, just like you'll see on a lot of like business websites and company websites. That's what that's for. And then I've also got like my form ID. So this is just a contact section with like a really simple form for name, email, and your message. And you can see those are input areas and then text area. So all of these inputs are required, as you can see. You can choose whether an input is required or not required, but as you can clearly see here, I've required all three of them because you bare minimum is like name, email, message, because you have to have a way to contact somebody. But feel free to add in some more like optional fields like address, phone number, like have you talked to somebody, like who's your referral? I don't know, like something interesting. If you want to do something interesting and unique for your demo. But yeah, all of these inputs are required. And we've got our submit button. So we've been creating buttons before. And here we're making a submit button and it's styled as like your call to action. So like I'm using that terminology again, like your call to action. You're just sending a quick and easy message to your user after they've clicked on that send message button, which is cool. So you've also, again, like highlighting this fact again, do not be surprised when this message doesn't go anywhere. There is no backend connected. The submission is going to be handled by JavaScript. So once we start working on our Java file, you're going to see that we're going to get to that section and there's not going to be any backend. It's just going to be like a feedback section. So don't get too excited. It's not connected to anything. So that's our contact section, and now we're going to move on to the footer section and the scroll button. So a lot of people will use footers on their website to kind of, like to have a lot of different links on their website. And oh no, see, this isn't formatting properly either. And footers are super important so that you can have like something at the bottom of your screen so it looks like you've thought out your code very well. So let me put that in for you. So we are reaching the tail end of our HTML file, which is why you'll notice that I copied in those closing tags. We are almost done with our basic build out HTML file. And now I'm going to explain this last section for our HTML. And basically what this section is, it's just like saying it's made by me, like made by a computer. I like pasted random emojis in here, so feel free to use whatever emoji you want. I would search up like how to paste emoji in VS Code. So it's like, feel free to do that as well. And then I've got like the little C logo, and then it's like 2025. So it's like trademark, and it just looks very professional and very cool. So hopefully y'all like that as well. And hopefully y'all are using that as a footer. Feel free to like go crazy with it. Add some links to your footer, add to your social media to your footer with like social media image icons, like do whatever you want. So there you go. That is our HTML code, and that's what we've used so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a new file now because we are done with HTML, and now we're going to move on to CSS. So going back to the slide, so we're done with HTML. We've gone over like the structure, the semantic elements, importance of rules. Now we're going to go to CSS layout. So like, by the way, I made this like super really nice presentation. I like spent a lot of time on it, and now I'm realizing that like more than 90% of this presentation is spent on VS Code. So like, I don't know why I spent so much time on these presentations if nobody's looking at them. But that's a side note. We're gonna move back to our code. I just wanted to show you that really fun slide about CSS code. Now we're back to VS Code, our beautiful dark code editor. I'm gonna make a new file. Feel free to call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it style.css. I'm gonna call it style23.css because I've already got a style name. I'm creating that file, and now what I'm gonna do is, again, the exact same thing. I'm gonna copy and paste. I'm gonna paste that code into VS Code and explain to you what that is little by little. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So first, we're gonna cover global styles and our beginning of dark mode. So for those of you dark mode fanatics out there, this one's for you. This section is just for you. And I also added in some comments, so if you miss a section while I'm talking about it, just look at the comments and you'll know what's exactly what's going on. And also just like put it in the chat. Do you prefer light mode or dark mode? Am I coding dark mode for anybody? Am I like screaming out into the void? Does nobody want dark mode? Gotta let me know, because if I don't get any dark mode requests in this chat, I don't think I'm gonna do it. So y'all gotta let me know. But let me explain a little bit about what this is. So right here, we've got our base reset. What this is we are resetting our default margin and padding. That way we can have consistent box sizing. So I was telling y'all that when you have HTML and CSS code, you've got your layout like structured within a box, and it's all structured like really nice and neat. So we're resetting this, and we're setting it to 0 and just making sure that it's very nice and laid out. Ooh, the CS says dark is good, but whichever. So I hear one vote in terms of dark, so maybe I will continue coding it. But if I hear some more positive opinions towards dark mode, I might put that into motion. So let me know. Or let me know if you want to see any other features. But that's this section. And then we've got our body. So remember how we were talking about what the CSS code does and how it accesses HTML? So it accesses it by these names. So we've got like our body in general, but you'll notice you have body dark, and that's for the dark mode. So body is just for general, like what we want to do for any of our HTML code, like within this body section. So here I've got a couple of like pre-made things. Feel free to change it to whatever you want. I just thought this looked like a little bit flowy and attractive, but change it to what you want. Okay, Rico Ferris says dark mode always. Okay, so good. Sounds like I'm sticking to dark mode. Someone's very passionate. Aaron Tiffin says light mode attracts bugs. Better stick with dark. Yes. I agree. I feel like I see bugs a lot these days. I think it's because I've been using light mode, so maybe I need to switch. I will keep y'all updated on if I get less bugs because of the dark mode. So thank y'all for chiming in. Feel free to keep chiming in. I love when y'all chat with me just because, guys, it's so weird talking to the screen. I'm like talking to VS Code. Like, that's legitimately what I'm doing. I'm like typing and copying into VS Code and I'm speaking directly to VS Code. It tweaks me out like about 1 hour and 30 minutes into the stream. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I love interaction. So, yeah. Here I've got our font family. Again, I used Roboto, but feel free to use any other Google font. And I did like comfortable line spacing here with like the line height. I just wanted my lines like a little bit separate. I only added this in because I was like working through my website and I was like, why does it look so like squished together? So I added in a line height that I think looks good. I added in a background color. Again, you can edit this to whatever you want. They got a code editor here, so feel free. And then like the color of the elements, so I've set that to black as well. And yeah, I've got like my transition. So that way, when you're switching between dark mode and light mode, you've got a very calm, very chill transition. That's why it's only 0.3 seconds. So it's like quick, but not quick enough that you don't see it, but not slow enough that you're like, oh my God, why is it taking forever to switch? So feel free to like experiment with those numbers and see what you like the most. I see another comment. In the presence of rapidly developing AI tools, yeah, honestly, I think that they definitely do. This is definitely something we run into a lot. I'm very glad you asked that question. AI can solve a lot of things, but AI, I'm going to be very honest, is quite dumb sometimes. Like, it can give you a lot of really great content, but sometimes it just hallucinates and it generates things that it shouldn't be generating and it gets confused. And that's the problem with becoming reliant on AI, that you're like, oh my God, AI is going to solve all of these problems for me. Like, let me just put everything into AI. And then AI will let you down one time and then it'll be like a chaotic problem. But let's just say, like, okay, AI is perfect. Like, it never makes mistakes again. Let's assume we're like in an ideal world and AI is amazing. These lectures still really matter because I like to think of them as like workshops, not lectures, because hopefully y'all are coding along with me and creating stuff. I'm not just like talking to you, but these do still matter because it's really important to know skills. These types of skills are really important for like jobs, careers, and just for learning things in general. Your brain goes a lot when you learn things. If you're just like using AI, you're not really learning. You're not really like getting skills that you can show other people. And I know it's like a lot of people are like, oh, like you like job interviews don't really require this stuff. They do. Like, you'd be surprised at how many like job interviews, resume interviews, organization interviews that you'll have where they'll ask you about a skill that's listed on your resume and you'll just start talking about it. And you don't want to be caught in a position where you're like, oh my God, I've only used AI for this skill. Like, I have no idea how to do this. But like, if you go to these types of workshops and you gain these skills and you learn how to code in HTML, you can carry a conversation with someone about HTML super easily, and you can help someone debug and work with projects at hackathons, work with projects without AI. So that was a super long-winded response to a very simple question. But yes, these lectures still matter. AI can solve these problems, but they're not always perfect solutions. Humans also don't give us perfect solutions, but humans aren't going to give us something random, like hallucinated out of nowhere, because we have context, but AI sometimes gets confused. So definitely still come to our workshops, definitely still come to MLH's streams. They're definitely worth your time. Our streamers put a lot of effort into these streams to teach you all these skills. So thank you for your question, and hopefully you stay along for a couple more streams. Zainab, thank you. Yes, definitely dark mode. Okay, perfect. I will keep developing that dark mode feature for y'all since it's highly in demand. So now we're gonna talk a little bit more about like this. Oh yeah, actually no, I covered this. So yeah, this is your transition. Feel free to increase that time if you want to see the dark mode change a little bit more. So this was just our basic section, our first section about like global styles and setting up dark mode. So now I'm going to show you how we style the navigation bar. Or like nav bar for sure. It's gonna be called nav in everything that I wrote because like I was typing out navigation and I was like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is so long. So I switched to nav bar. I can't handle it, it's too long. So let me okay. So we've got our nav bar. This is where switching over to the navigation section now. You can see I've chosen a couple of different colors. I've got like logo, links, and just nav bar in general. So you'll notice here, you'll see, like I said, display flex. So the navigation bar uses Flexbox for a horizontal layout. So just like a really nice flexible layout horizontally, so that we have space between the logo and the links. So previously we would kind of use like random layouts and it just wouldn't look that great. But I think Flex looks super cool, and you'll see once you create your website and you'll see how cool this looks. I see some questions, Aaron. CS variables or riot. No, don't riot. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream. Don't riot. I'll be sad. Yes, these sessions are recorded. If you're unable to watch anything for no reason, or oh my god, unable to watch anything for any reason, all these sessions are recorded and posted on our YouTube channel, so you can like rewatch them as much as you want. That's like kind of a creepy notion for me to think about, that like everything I do on the stream is recorded and permanently online. So like my digital footprint is just absolutely cooked because like it's all online. But yes, they are recorded. Feel free to watch them. And if part of this session's confusing you, and you didn't get a chance to catch part 1, part 2, or part 3, feel free to go back to the MLH YouTube channel and search it up. Part 1, part 2, and part 3 are available on YouTube. And part 4 will soon be available at the conclusion of the stream. So going back to the code. So we've got our Flex display layout. And then we've got our logo section. So here we are styling our logo with white color, as you can see, and we're also using a larger font. So I used a larger font size just because like I want the nav bar text to be a little bit larger than the other items on the page, but feel free to do as you like. And then we've also got our navigation links. So again, our navigation links are going to be horizontal. That's why you've got that flex display, and they're going to be spaced apart by a gap. So you'll notice there's a lot of like words and like keywords that are like green, and that's because HTML and CSS have a lot of keywords that you can use to reference different things. And here specifically I'm doing like a gap because I want a physical gap in between my words. So there's a lot of things that you'll pick up on. My goal is just to expose you to as much as possible, which is why you see like random words that you haven't seen before. That's the whole point. I'm trying to give you a wide range of tools and knowledge that you can rely upon when you're building your own websites later. Not that you're not building your own website now, you're building your own website now, you're doing amazing. So finally, after that, we've got our navigation links and button share styling. This is a very niche thing, but you'll notice we've got our nav links A, and that's because it's nav links because the A tag is a link. So that was a little pun there. Don't know if you caught it, but yes, that's why there's an A there. And this is our link and button share styling. So again, I've done white. I don't mean to be plain. I just wanted this to look good because I was like, it was horrifying trying to screen share during the earlier sessions with like my neon yellow purple website, and it was so ugly. So I just stuck with white this time because I couldn't do it. So yeah, you can see I've got like no text decoration. I've got like bold up, and I've got my cursor pointer on there. So whenever you're hovering over those buttons, you'll see the cursor pointer. So that is super cool. So that is the navigation section. So now we're going to move on to the hero section. So like I was telling y'all, we're using hero styling for our CSS code, and hero styling is super cool. And you can use hero styling for a lot of different things. So hero styling can be used for giving your layout very nice structure. And yeah, that's why we're going to use hero styling for now. Yes, Zainab, you can add a picture or a video in the background of a website. We are not covering that for now because I just don't have time. But if we have time at the end of this, I will definitely get to it. It's just like a couple of lines, honestly. It's like really not that bad. Or actually, yeah, you can just so here, just for you. So in this like body section right here where you're styling your body text, you're gonna want to put in a specific like here, I'll just paste it in for you. Or actually I'll type it in for you. And what am I saying? Oh my god. Actually, I'm not going to type it because I don't have the time to implement that. But it's basically just background dash image. You're going to have a colon, and then you're just going to put your URL in, and then a semicolon. So that's literally it. It's just the background image tag. And you can add in some other features like how you want your background size to look, like if you want the position, like where you want it, what the height is. But yes, you can do that. You just have to use that specific tag. Hope that answered your question. Going back to the hero section. So here we've got our hero section. It's got our centered text, text the line center. I've put a lot of padding on it because I want my website to have all my content like structured down the middle and like inline, and I want a lot of padding on the sides. I don't want it like stretching out to both like the left and right sides of the screen. But feel free to adjust that padding as you want. The world is your oyster. But yeah, feel free to do what you would like. And again, I've got my white background layer. I think this one's like actually slightly purple. I think I wanted to make it more colorful. And then, oh yeah, it is purple. Yeah, see, I added color. I changed I've added in a light purple background because my website's actually a little purple in my nav bar. I used Rebecca Purple because I think it was Yash was telling me yesterday that Rebecca Purple was made by like a developer whose daughter died, and he called it Rebecca Purple, and that stuck with me. So now I'm using Rebecca Purple, and I used like a light purple background to kind of separate the padding between the content. Then I also used a super large heading for my H2, and then I styled my hero paragraphs to make them readable. So I set a little bit of like dark gray text and made my font size a little big. So feel free to customize this as you want. You just got to have that because we've got a hero section here. Yeah, right here. We have our hero class, and we want to make sure that that section is being styled. So make sure you have your hero section, but feel free to do whatever you would like. And also, like, you kind of notice, ooh. So you kind of notice that in this hero section, you've got like just the basic dot hero. So this is for anything related to the hero tag. And then you've got your dot hero H2 and then dot hero P. So this is specifically for anything with the H2 and P tag. So like for the dot hero, I'm basically just setting the background and aligning the text and doing the padding, just like general things. But then you can notice how like for font size and color, I'm going specifically into those tags. Reason for that is because I want even within the hero section, I want the text to look a little bit differently. So you can definitely do that. You can target specific tags for different types of text that you have if you want them to look different. So that's that section. We're going to move on to the next section, which is content sections and skills. So we had our like general content and our skills sections. Now we're going to style that section. That's this section, so I've copied and pasted it. Feel free to keep following along. Remember, your main incentive to follow along and do this with me is to demo your project at the end, and I can show everybody your like GitHub page and your LinkedIn, your profile, so definitely follow along so you can have this project with me. So, So here we've got our .content section, and basically this is our content section. I've limited the width just to make it easily readable. Again, we're like having our margin be 0 so that we can center it. This time I specifically did max width so that our content is like limited and it's not stretching out again, because we did the same thing with our padding and I want to do the same thing with our content. And then we've also got our sections. So we're spacing out our sections. I put in an extra spacing for our margin bottom spacing, which is like how much difference you have or distance you have from the margin bottom specifically. Like, yeah, you can hover over and it says like set the thickness of the margin area, just so that we have a little bit of separation between our content and our space. And then I've got our H2 headings again. I used Rebecca Purple for our headings again. And I did uppercase for the text. And I did that because I wanted a little bit of a separation in terms of what I've been doing previously. So I just did uppercase, but you can do like, yeah, you can do a lot of different other things. You can do capitalized, you can do lowercase. Yeah, they've got a couple of different syntax options for you, but I like uppercase. And then I've also got our skill list. So I'm styling the skill list as badges with background padding and rounded corners. So you'll notice how before in our HTML file, I was using span to list our skills. So that's why, again, I'm using the span. I'm setting the background, the padding, the border radius. The border radius is how we get our rounded corners. Like I'm making the radius a little bit smaller so that we can round the corners as opposed to like a straight edge. And that's what our skill list will be. So it's just a little bit more fun to look at compared to just having it plain. So that is that quick content and skills section. And now we're going to add to our project section. So I'm actually really excited about this because I worked on this for a little bit because I wanted it to look really good for y'all. But this is the project grid / like content cards section. So I was saying like I'm going to have all of our projects listed as a grid and kind of like cards. And that way we can have all of our specific text like listed out in this specific section. So let me double check really quick. Sorry, my computer is like loading off. I'm confused. Okay, we're good. So we've got this section again, and these are the different projects, grids, and cards. So again, you don't have to do this. I'm just doing it because I like the way that it looks, but definitely you don't have to. Oh, I see a question. You notice how you keep switching between PX, REM, and EMs? How do you know which one to pick? What's REM and M? Oh, yeah, great question. So it's basically the reason why I keep switching is because like there's different ways that I want my website to look, and I want my website to be flexible. So I'll explain what each of them are and why you would use them. So PX is pixels, and this is just like an absolute I guess, unit of measurement. And what that means is that it's a set dimension, so it doesn't change based on something else. So you would use px or pixels when you want like exact control over something, how something looks. So like for borders, like smaller icons, things like that. You wouldn't use this if you wanted to, like, I guess, adjust based on what a user wants. So like for zooming or like larger text. So that's what you would use pixels for. M is like related to parent element. So what that means is like you relate that element to that parent's element. So for example, 1M it just represents the font size of the parent. But like 2M would be like multiplying. So if the parent is like 2M and you put 2M, then it would be 4M. So it can be a little bit difficult because it's like a lot of mathematical calculations that are going on behind the scenes. But this is useful for like padding, margins, or any font size that are scaling with the container of their parent. So like we've got our code within certain containers, and if it's scaling with that container, we want to use M so we can relate it back to the parent element. And then finally, we've got rem, which is similar to m, but it's related to the root element, so the root HTML element compared to like the parent container element. So one rem, so like one rem unit, is the font size on the HTML. So this can be like if we used like body, that would be the HTML HTML's font size in the body. So this would be useful for like consistent scaling in terms of size, for things like headings, spacing, and also just like layout in general. So yeah, you would probably start with rem for most things, and set that base size, but then like change depending on what you want, which is kind of why you see the different changes. I didn't really intentionally change back and forth. It was just kind of like I was like, oh, I'm doing headings now. Like, let me do pixels. I like want to fix size. I want to change with the parent. Yeah. So I think it was like more natural for me because I like got a little bit of experience. But when you're picking for yourself, just feel free to use like pixels for um, set things, rems if you want to do it relative to your parent, and then or rems if you want to do it relative to the HTML, and ems if you want to do it relative to the parent. So I hope that answered your question. Let me know if you have further questions. But going back to the project grids and the cards, so this has got our grid layout, so it's going to auto fit our cards here. And what that means is we are displaying them permanently. So you've got like our auto fit right here, and we're going to set a minimum width of 240 pixels, and this is going to adapt to your screen size. So this is really nice. Auto fit helps you so that you're not setting like fixed dimensions for your pixels and putting things in certain places. You're just going ahead and automatically fitting your projects to the grid, which is really useful and very good looking. And then you'll notice you've got your cards here. So you've got your card backgrounds. Again, I did the white background, and I did like a kind of off-white border. I don't know how to describe it. I just like went a little bit lower for the white to do like a kind of subtle border. I went closer to the black to kind of like give a shadow. I'm not sure if we'll get that effect. Let's see. And rounded corners again. You've got that lower radius, so you've got rounded corners instead of straight corners. And then here I went to the card hover. So basically what this is when you're hovering over a project or hovering over a card, it'll do something. So it's not just like plain and boring. So this hover effect will make the card a little bit bigger. So you can see like you've got the scale 1.03. So it's going to scale your card just a little bit, and it'll add a shadow to the box to make it like really cool looking, and it looks like it's going to do anything even though it's not. So that is like the little project grid / cards area. And then now we're going to style the buttons and the contact inputs that we had. So this one's a little bit longer just because the buttons and the contact inputs have a lot more space. So let me put that in. Card hover, boom. So now we've got our button up again. Oh, another question, follow-up question. I've been told that PXs are bad for accessibility reasons. Should I be concerned about that? Yeah. People say that PX is bad for accessibility because PX is fixed, like pixels are, sorry, not PX, pixels. Oh my God. Pixels are fixed. And yes, it can be bad for accessibility reasons just because it's a set way of like structuring or organizing something. So if somebody's on a different device or they've got like specific settings on their computer, it can look weird on their device and it might not even show up. So like an example of that is like if you have bold text or really large text on your computer, but you have fixed pixels on a website, it just might not show up as fixed, like the text that you want. So it can be bad for accessibility reasons, but I don't think those accessibility reasons are too harmful in this project because usually people say that for like text and if you're using pixels to style for text, but we're just using them for padding most of the time. I don't think I used it very often for text, but if I did, actually, like, yeah, like you can see in the code, like here, I use the pixels for like the box shadow and the padding and the radius, but then like, yeah, padding, radius. Let me go back to when I can see a text color. Yeah, but then for font size, I change it to EM. So I'm usually mainly using the PX for padding, so I think it should be fine. But if you would like to use EM, definitely feel free to go ahead and change that. Hopefully that helped you with your concern a little bit. But yeah, now we're gonna move on to the buttons and the contact input. So I just styled my button this certain way because I thought it looked really good. I played around with it for a little bit, but I added some padding, some rounded corners, again, that border radius, and then I added like a cursor because I want a little pointed cursor when you click on that button. We've got like our primary button, which is just our general like click on me button. And I use that purple background again with white text. And again, I use primary hover so that we're darkening that color. So I think this is a really cool feature because if you're just on that button, it's going to be light purple. But then the second you like hover over the button, you're like on it for a second, it changes to a darker purple, which is a super cool way to show your user that your website's reactive and it's like actively tracking what you're doing, which I think is cool. So feel free to do that. And then we've also got the secondary button here. I use like a slightly darker, like kind of gray background. I've got that hovering effect. It's going to go even darker when I hover over it. And then we've got our input area and our contact form area. So our inputs and text are styled with, you've got that padding, border radius, border, very, very similar designs, very similar styling in each of these sections. They're just all like slightly different from each other, which is why they're not grouped together. So yeah, it can be very tedious to style a website with CSS just because like you're manually doing everything. But I actually really like that because I think it's really nice for customizability. Like nobody else is working on your website, but you're customizing everything for yourself, which is 10 out of 10 super great. So um, that is the area. And then we've got like this text area and it can resize vertically for our contact section. So that's what that section is. And now we're going to go to the top button and footer styling section. So heads up, we're nearing our last CSS feature. We are almost done with our CSS file. So y'all are making great progress, great listeners, great watchers. So hopefully you're following along and are getting ready for that demo and you're customizing a couple of things. So this is our last feature for the CSS. So let's go ahead and put that in. So this is going to be our scroll top section. So basically what this is like you've got a scroll bottom, scroll button. So like when you scroll on a website, you've always got that scroll bar. So here we are fixing our scroll button to the bottom right because like when you scroll all the way to the bottom and you want to scroll back up to the top, this is going to be like a little button that is available to scroll back up to the top, and we're setting it to like a little circle, which is why you've got that like that little border radius. It's 50%, so it's like it's not a square anymore, it's a circle. 50% of its area has been cut out, and we're making it purple again. So by the way, this is going to be hidden by default, which is why you see that display none. It's going to be shown via JavaScript, which we're going to write in a little bit after the user scrolls all the way to the bottom, because you don't want to see that button just pop up out of nowhere when you're like at the top of the screen. You want it to show up when you're at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to implement that with JavaScript. And we just got a simple footer styling. We're just aligning the center, we're adding padding, and we're doing a white background. Just a very simple footer, but feel free to style that differently if you would like a different footer. So that is the end of our CSS file. Yippee! Now we're moving on to our JavaScript file. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to call it script.js. I'm going to call it script23.js because again, I've made that file already. Okay, so we've got our script.js file, and now we're going to go over the work for that. So heads up, the JavaScript is more of an actual programming language, so it's going to be a little bit more wordy, it's going to be a little bit harder, but we will get through it together, so no worries. So we've got our JavaScript button up first. So here we've got a click button. So we've got our JavaScript click button that works based on the button that says click me, and we're calling it a constant, and then we're also doing a message. So this is if y'all have went to the stream that was like 2 hours earlier, you would have learned a little bit more about how we can use buttons for JavaScript. So there you go. That's how you do the click button, and that's how you get the message. So then we're going to do click button dot add event listener. So an event listener is just something that's like listening for an event from the user. In this case specifically, it's waiting for a click from the user, which is why you've got that add event listener click. And then once they click, you've got the content that's displayed. Thanks for clicking. And then since we are also doing the reset button here, we're going to get the element of reset button. We're going to add an event listener, and we're going to click on that as well. So if you'll notice, these look very similar, but they're a little different. And the reason for this is because when we have the reset button, we don't really want a message. Here we want a message like after the user clicks on it, but we don't really care about the message once the user has already reset the button. So that's why we don't have this constant click button, because we already have that reset button. So it's kind of done in the same line here, which is super cool. These are two different ways that you can implement that. But yeah, we've now, like with this code, we are listening for the click on click me button, and then it updates that message text. This reset button will change the message back to waiting, so like waiting for the user to click on the button. But yeah, that's the JavaScript text for the button. And now we're going to write the JavaScript text for the scroll to the top button that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So this is going to be the JavaScript code for the button that helps us scroll back up to the top once we have started the scrolling to the bottom. So right here, we are going to create a scroll button. So again, that constant, and get that element by ID, scroll to the top. We're adding that event listener again. We're going to do scroll this time. So you'll notice here we had click, but this time we've got scroll. And so we're doing that because we want the event to be scroll instead of click. So again, this scroll button will only be shown if the window is greater than 400. So you'll notice here again, here we called the constant and we said add event listener because we want to add that click event listener to that variable, which is that button. But here we did window. The reason for this is because there's not really anything on the button that can track whether or not the user is scrolling, but the window can check if the user is scrolling. So once the Y of the window.scroll, which is like the vertical position of the scroll, once that's greater than 400, so like at the bottom of the page, then we're going to go ahead and add that event listener to the scroll button. So you can see here now we're adding the event listener to scroll button, and we're doing click because once the user clicks on that, they're going to scroll all the way back up to the bottom or top, and you'll see now we do window.scroll to. So we have our window, we're setting the scroll to all the way up to the top of 0, and our behavior is going to be smooth. It's just going to be a smooth glide. You can do like chunky, I want to say like not chunky, there's like other options for scroll behavior, but obviously smooth is definitely the best way to go for this case. So yeah, this is going to improve like any navigation that your person that's clicking on your website is going to do. Now we're going to work on the JavaScript for the light/dark mode. Ooh, so this is the super exciting part for some of you that were very passionate about dark mode. So here we are toggling our theme. So I called it like toggle theme because you're toggling dark mode to light mode, and it's going to toggle the dark class within the body of the HTML. So basically, once you do this, we're going to change the icon as well from like the moon to the sun. So this is like very niche, very small change that you won't really notice unless you're looking for it, but that's what it's changing that to indicate like what the current mood is. Obviously, like moon is night, sun is day, and it works with these transitions, so you can like smoothly change between these themes, and you've got that click again, and you're toggling the dark body class. So this is a really interesting line because when the dark class is not automatically activated, you have to toggle it first. So that's what that is for. And then we're going to write the JavaScript code for the contact form. So we had our contact form, and remember I was telling you like it's not going to be connected to any backend. So since it's not connected to any backend, we still want it to send a message to the user. And so this is what we're doing. We are preventing a default page reload on the form submission. So you can delete that if you want. I did that just because like we aren't sending the form anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. Um, like if the page reloads, in fact, it would probably just be more of a hassle for the person on the website since it's not actually submitting anything. So I have our prevent default there is to prevent it from reloading on default. And you've got an alert that shows up once you have submitted that form. So it's just thank you, and it also like notifies the user the form's not connected to the backend. By the way, you don't have to notify your user. I just did that so I don't forget later on when I'm like, why isn't this sending anywhere? It's because it's not connected to a backend. And you can see here, again, we've added that event listener to our contact form ID. And yeah, that's what we've added our event listener for. So that is the end of our JavaScript file. And now we're going to add in, like, pepper in a couple of other things that we didn't cover just in general to add some more stuff, which I think makes the project even cooler. But we're nearing our demo time. So definitely make sure you're working on your projects. By the way, just to like recap where we are in the slides. Yeah, we've hit that, and now we're going to be here. We're going to go over responsive design with media queries, which is a very fun name for a slide title, I think. So right now, what we're going to be working on is enabling responsive design. So this is what I was kind of talking about with accessibility earlier. So your users can go to your website using various different devices like phones, tablets, desktops. And because of that, your site has to be adaptable to a lot of different sizes of a device because otherwise it's just going to look the same on all devices. So like if you've got it up on a computer and it looks perfect on a computer, that sucks because now it's going to look horrible on an iPhone or an iPad because it's like smaller devices or like, like a Android phone or and like Android tablet as well. So we're going to add like a media query. And basically what this media query is going to do is it's going to change our navigation layout. It's going to change it from horizontal to vertical on super small screens, which is really good because when we've got bigger screens, obviously we want our navigation to be horizontal, but smaller screens, it's easier for it to be vertical. And we're also going to adjust the padding and the spacing for smaller devices because we want it to be a little bit closer if it's a smaller device. So we're going to add this into our CSS file. And I know we already finished editing the CSS file, but we're going to go back because this is important for our reactivity. So here we've got our media. So I'm doing @media because that's a media query. And this will ensure that our site is super easy to use on mobile devices so that you don't have to zoom or like scroll horizontally because you kind of have to do that on some devices if the website's not responsive, but now the website's going to be responsive. So that's not a problem. But you can see that it's this flex direction of column. Once it's got the width of 600, it's going to stack that vertically. So the navigation, instead of being horizontal up the top of the screen, it's going to be vertical on the down of the screen, which is very useful for smaller devices. And now we're going to take like a quick detour into JavaScript. We already talked. I'm not sure what no screen only means. Maybe I wasn't sharing my screen here. But yeah, I'm not sure. Aaron, let me know what you meant by that. But yeah, this is the media query in case I wasn't sharing before. And this is just going to ensure that your site is responsive and it stays the same regardless of what device you're on. So again, we've already gone to the JavaScript for media query. Yeah, I'm really not sure what you're talking about. Like, are you talking when you say no screen only? Do you mean like did I not show the screen, or like there is no screen for the media? Like, if you could give me like a sentence about what you're questioning about, I'd appreciate that. I'm like tired and questions aren't really making sense. But some more details would be great. But yeah, we talked about JavaScript a little bit more, but now we're going to go a little bit deeper into some more features. So we've already got our amazing JavaScript file here. We've got like our listeners and our fun little things, and we've got our toggle for our dark feature. So now I want to add in a toggle for our bio because I was saying like we've got like more information for our bio and we want to toggle that. So let's do that. And we're also going to enable some like smooth scrolling as well. So I was telling y'all that like we have smooth scrolling for when we've got a button at the bottom, but why not just have smooth scrolling throughout? Like add that feature in, you know what I mean? So I'm adding in that feature and that's going to start here. So here is our toggle bio. So first we've got this part. So these are two separate sections I'm going to talk about. Don't worry, I'll get to it. But here we're going to talk about this part. So this is the bio toggle. So in your bio, we've coded a button and that button says show more. So once you click on that show more button, this toggle is going to check if the extra bio paragraph is hidden. And that's why you've got like your if this display style is none. So we kind of worked on this a little bit yesterday. So if y'all are from yesterday or not yesterday, oh my gosh, like 2 hours ago, if y'all think this sounds familiar, that's because it is. We just did this, but this is for those of y'all that are new. So we've got our style display and it's going to check if the paragraph is hidden. If not, if it is, then it's going to show it, the bio display, which is why you've got your block set to that. And otherwise, it's going to change the button text to, or sorry, you're not having a meaning display. You're going to show that, and then you're going to change the toggle to show less because now you're showing more. And you want to ask your user like, oh, do you want to show less? Then you've also got this else, which is like if the style display, well, actually not. So this is like the style display is not none. It is displaying something. So now you change the style display to none and you do show more. So it's just like kind of an if else logic loop that y'all have probably used before if you've used JavaScript or anything similar. So that's what we're doing for that. Let me go. And yeah, that's the toggling information. And then we've also got smooth scrolling. So for each of these navigation links, we're not going to have like a jump because like every time you click on a navigation link in a bar, it's going to like jump to that. So instead of that, we're going to have like a really smooth scroll. That's why we got behavior smooth here. And it's just going to make navigation feel a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit nicer. So that's what we've got here. And that's that section. So let me get some more So we're going to move on to the contact form validation. So we kind of worked on this a little bit earlier, but we're going to add some more features to that. So we had like a lot of different like additional inputs that we can do for the default inputs. So actually, I'm going to skip this for now just because I want to make sure we can get all the features, but there is a way to validate the user's email. So this is just like if you ever notice on a form, like you do like at and you forget like, or you forget the at symbol or you forget the .com, and it tells you, it's like, oh my God, you need to submit like a proper email. That's validation. I'm going to skip that really quick because that takes a really long time to cover, but I will go back to that if we do have some more time. I'm going to show y'all some like really cool CSS styling that I found that I think is super cool. And it's like pulse shadowing and just like very fun things. So let me show you that. We're going to go back to our CSS file. So it's here. And basically what this session does is it is going to start our section. So we are going over the section, so the code within each of our sections. And we're going to have opacity 0 because we're going to have our sections start invisible, and they're going to start getting slightly shifted down. So it's transforming our y, which is our like coordinate vertically, by a couple. So it's going to be started like you can't see them, and they're like a little bit lower. So that way, when you're at the top of the screen, you don't see it. But then the animation is going to be like you're going to fade upwards for like a quick little 0.8 seconds, and you're going to change the animation delay. You're going to have it go forward. So that way, when you are loading the website, it just kind of like fades in. Really cool. And this is really something that you won't notice until you're like looking at it very thoroughly. But you will notice this because you made it. So, and then also, I again, like I'm telling you, I really like those project cards. I spent a lot of time on them. So I made them look really fun, and I made them pop. And what these project cards will do is they will gently like kind of like pulsate, and it's going to like kind of like let you know like when the box shadow is being hovered over. So it's kind of just like when you're hovering over a project card, it'll show some more information and like give you some like kind of oomph to your project card whilst you're hovering over it. So that's something you can implement if you want. Again, I'm showing you all of this just like completely optional, but you don't have to do any of it. And yeah, we worked on the dark mode toggle. I think I might have jumped the gun here. I worked on I put in the CSS animations for dark mode already, but I was just so excited about that because y'all sounded excited. And yeah, we've already done kind of like the dark mode and changed that. So actually, there is some more things we can add to dark mode. So right now we've got like our emojis going on for light versus dark mode, but we can add some more context to our CSS, which I think would be great. So or actually, I think we should keep our CSS the way it is. It's got like a really nice dark mode layout. So that's nice. But let me see if there's anything else that I want to add and let y'all know. I want to like save as much time as possible for these project demos since we're nearing that time. But that should work. So, well, not that should, that will work. So those are all the pieces of code that you need to deploy your project. So, oh, um, so what I want y'all to do is obviously save your code, get that live server extension, and get it up and running for your project so that we can get that live server up and demonstrating. Like I'll show y'all what I have on my live server and what I see on my portfolio just to give y'all like a quick sneak peek preview of what your project could look like. So let me show you. And keep working on your projects. Remember, we're going to start demoing soon, so I'll show you all how to upload your projects, and then we can get started. So let me show you what mine looks like. But yeah, just to be like super explicitly clear, like we are done with the coding portion. Now we're going to go into like the demoing and like going about our different like features on our various websites. So that is what my website looks like. You can see that Rebecca purple, that light purple. This is it toggling dark mode and on and off. I know my dark mode doesn't look great. I just didn't like have enough time to get to it and like make it look better. But hopefully y'all's dark mode looks a little bit better. You can like edit it. So we're gonna stay in light mode for now. But you can click on this button, this view projects, and it hovers straight over to your projects. You can go to the about section, the skills section, projects section, also contact section. So yeah, you've got your like description, and you can see the same thing with the span that we used earlier. You can see it formatted and laid out really nicely. And then we've got your projects. So it's got this like it's very subtle. I'm not sure if you can see it over the screen, but it's like a light gray shadow once you hover it, and it kind of like pops out at you. And that's because it's like moving. So really cool. And again, I've got like my fun interaction section. Hopefully you've implemented that section to be a little bit more I don't know, related to your personal projects. So you click on it and it says, thanks for clicking. You reset it, and then it goes back to waiting. And this is my contact form. So like I said, I added contact validation to my form. Didn't really have time to get that right to y'all. But yeah, you can see send message. It says like, please include an at. So Eva could do an at. It's like enter a part following that, and that'll work. So once I send it, it'll say, thank you for your message. By the way, the form's not connected to the back end. And you can also see we're scrolling. And now that scroll back up to the top button appears. And I click on that and whoop, we do a smooth scroll right back up to the top. So those are all of the features thoroughly implemented into that website. So now I want to see y'all's websites, and also just like in general, project organization is very important. It's really important to maintain like a clean project folder and have well commented code as your project grows. So you should have like the structure be like index.html, styles.css, and then script.js. And then if you have any images, you can put the images within the file, or like on the same priority level as the files as well. So I'm going to show y'all how to deploy your website. And we're going to deploy our website and have a link for that as well. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go to GitHub. And I've already got my repository, but if you don't, you're going to click new. You're going to call it like whatever you want. Make sure it's public. You want a public repository because you're going to be sharing these demo links and you want them to be public. And then create a README file. Always good practice to create a README file. And then click create repository. I'm not going to do that because I've already got an existing repository from part 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just going to update my files. But once you've created a repository, you can click add file. And okay. Zainab says, can we get your code for reference, please, in case we forget something? Yeah, totally no worries at all. Let me add in my code. I'll just copy and paste that. So I'm going to put that on the document that I shared with y'all earlier. Let me just copy. I promise I'm paying attention. I'm just copying and pasting it right now. Ooh. Oh, it's because it's in dark mode. It looks really bad. Let me fix that. Sorry, y'all, if I switch back to the code editor and you see light mode, I hope your eyes don't burn too much. I just need to do it so that the code will copy over properly. That's the index.html file. Let me do the CSS file now. I'm sure you asked that as a precaution, but I hope nothing is going wrong. Please let me know if something is going wrong or an error is occurring, and we can work that out. I might have just like typed something wrong when I was copying it over, but yeah, let me know if something's going wrong when y'all are trying to demo. We can try to fix it. Okay, all of the code is on that document. Perfect. I'm not really sure what that means. If you can give me some more context, that'd be great. Yeah, so here's my HTML website. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this index file because this is not what I have anymore. I have a newer version. Obviously, there's like much better ways to be changing your code, like committing it. You should be committing it and pushing it to GitHub. I'm just doing this for sake of time on the stream so that we can get to the stream. Yeah, I would prefer that y'all not clone my repo just because I hope that you've been coding along to this project. But yeah, you can clone it if you want. It's up to y'all, but I'd prefer that y'all work on it with me. So let me go back. There's my HTML website. Yeah, that's the repo, so feel free to do what you like. I'm going to add in my files. So I'm going to stop sharing because last time I did this, I showed my entire file history. So just add in your files wherever you put them and upload those files into the GitHub file loader. Let me show y'all where that is. Okay. So I have uploaded those files. I've got my index.html, script.js, and style.css. You are going to add them. Can make sure you click commit directly to the main branch. And I'm going to click commit changes. So I've added that in. Perfect. So now I'm going to show y'all how to deploy to GitHub Pages. Your project's not going to look the best on GitHub Pages because it's only for static websites, but it'll still work in a pinch. So basically, my website is already deployed because I have been working on it in the past previous parts. But to deploy your website, you're going to scroll down to this branch area and you're going to click on main and root for your folder and then save. And it'll take a couple of minutes. I think the maximum it's taken for me is 5 minutes. So take max 5 minutes and it'll go over to your website and it'll give you a link. So this is my link. And boom, it perfectly works. It reconnects to my website. So if y'all want to try that, here's that link. Feel free to try it. But here, let me show y'all. So the buttons still work. Wait, I take it back. So the static versus dynamic stuff is more for, what is it? More for like actual responsive pages. This is just more like JavaScript elements. That's like for when you use React and things like that. So this will still work as you want it to. So feel free to just deploy it on GitHub Pages. I think that's easier anyways. The dark mode still works, all the contact, everything works. So that is the end of my part of deploying this website. So now that I've deployed my website, I want to see y'all's website. So all of y'all that are still on the stream, that are working on your projects, I want to see the link from your GitHub pages. And I want to show your website, be able to demonstrate it and show it. So send me your links to your GitHub pages link, like website link, once you've deployed that. And I will I'll pull it up on my end and we can all look at your amazing website. And I think it'd be super cool. So in the meantime, while y'all are working on getting your websites up and pulling that up, I'm going to show you also how to deploy to Vercel. So Vercel is a really nice web deployment service that works for dynamic websites. So let me, okay, yeah, just do like I'm working on commercial, continuing. Oh, I don't want a pro plan. I'm going to put in my name, continue with GitHub. I'm going to authorize Vercel. You don't have to, but I'm authorizing Vercel to continue with my GitHub just because I want to connect the two of them together, but you definitely don't. Now you're logged into Vercel, so your website files, so your index, HTML, CSS, make sure they're in your repo. You will need it because I connected to GitHub, but also because that's where Vercel gets your files from. And if you don't, like push your project files to Vercel. So you're on this dashboard, and I'm going to create something new. So, install the GitHub application. So it's going to ask you where you want to install Vercel, and I'm putting it on my specific HTML repository. So you need to do that too. I'm not showing you a lot of this because it's asking me for passwords and just in case I don't want to show passwords, but there you go. I clicked on that. I can't do it. Oh no. Thank you for telling me, or Ferris, that we needed to, that I was not on the website. Thank you for that. But basically what I did was let me show y'all again. Navigated to Vercel.com. So that's going to be this link. And I just clicked like create an account and I linked it to my GitHub. It's easier if you go to your GitHub because then you can just import from your GitHub and it's just like easier. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And it looks like it closed. That is unfortunate. So yeah, here's your GitHub and you can choose your repository. I'm going to import it. And for a static site, Vercel will usually auto-detect the settings, but you want to make sure that your framework preset is set to other or like even static site, but other is good. And you're just going to click deploy, and that's literally it. Super easy. They're going to give you a URL that you can share, and you can share that URL. So there you go. There's my URL, my HTML website bay Vercel.app. And that's also linked. So now both of these websites, well, actually all three of these, this one's Vercel, this one's my local host, and then this one is my GitHub. So I can have it on 3 different spots, but they're all the exact same project, which is super cool. Let me come back to the chat. So yeah, y'all can deploy in either Vercel or GitHub. Feel free to do either. Ooh, oh my God, we got a project. Yay, yay. Thank you, Lucia, for submitting. Let me get your project up here. I am so excited to see this project. Ugh, you don't even understand. This is the final product of all of these tech streams, and I've seen you at all the tech streams, so you've been working hard. Oh my God, guys, this looks great. Let me screen share. Hold on. Lucia's MLH workshop page. Okay. This is amazing. Okay, you can't see anything. Perfect. Now you can, no. Now you can see it. Yay. In the worlds where you can be anything, be kind. Oh, I like that. I don't know who Claire Pooley is. You've got to let me know who that is. Is that like an author and actress? It's got to be someone famous if their quotes are coming out here. But oh, that's so sweet. Yes, you should be kind. Ooh, okay, this is my first web page created during the workshop series. I'm excited to share my yay. Lucia, I love learning web development, coding and technology, programming language is CSS. Ooh, okay. Then this is definitely the workshop series for you. I enjoy solo and team building. You should definitely go to a couple of hackathons then. Yeah, you're a participant. Yes, these skills look great. I love them. MongoDB. I love MongoDB. Node.js. This is great. Yeah. My top 5 GitHub projects. Ooh, you've got your projects listed. Ooh, brain dump. I'm interested. What is that? This is, oh, we've already seen Lucia's GitHub from, I remember this GitHub from yesterday, I think, or some other stream. But let's go back. Ooh, random image selection. Here is a random image from Pics and Photos. Yes, lovely. I love these random images. Great selection here. Click the button below. Click me. Counter reset. Oh, it's a button clicker. Wait, I like that. This is fun. Okay, I'm going to be playing that later. I really like clicking on things, so this is great. Contact me. Oh my gosh, yay. And the scroll button. You can send the message. Oh yeah, you got your validation 2025 Lucia Shield. Perfect. I really like this theme. I genuinely love like aqua colors, so this is amazing. And yes, I love the theme too. This is great. Okay, no. It's great. It's great. This is a great website. I hope you know that you coded all of this by yourself. You know what each part of the code for this means, and this is a great website. Really, really amazing job. So yes, Erin is correct. What a charming website. Good job. This is great. And Regina Ferris is right as well. This website is amazing. You did great. I hope you see that your project is in fact great. All of your fellow MLH community members are explaining to y'all that this is amazing. So hopefully you agree as well. And Lucia says thanks for all of y'all. yeah, and we also mentioned there's a nice holopins on your GitHub profile, so nice holopins. Mango, ooh, okay. It's definitely going to be perfect. I'm so excited for this project, but that is super cool to hear that this is the first time you wrote your HTML. Am I too bold in assuming that the first time that you wrote your HTML line was with me? That time frame sounds very similar, so I'm assuming it was with me, but maybe I'll just live in happy delusion, not knowing the truth. But this is great. Let me go. Thank you, Lucio, for your amazing project. It was lovely. Ooh, y'all. This is fire. This is so good. This is so good. Ooh, this is great. Oh yeah, Hacktoberfest was really fun. Okay, this is Mango's project. Amazing. Hello, I'm useless button. I told you it's useless. I like that. That's a funny button. Oh, that's so cool. I like the way I'm gonna reload. That's funny. You've got humor. I like this profile. It's like a good personality test too. So it's not just like a technical profile, but it's also your personality, which is cool. I love this text. I don't know what this is, but this is like really fun. It's like game. I really like this. Welcome to my first web page. Oh, first web page. Yes, love the useless button. This is amazing. And yes, it even has a dark mode. I'm going to investigate that in just a little bit. But I'm going to scroll through and give your website the respect it deserves. So, studying biology at the University of Vienna. Oh, biology in Vienna. Oh my gosh, this is great. That's cool. First programming experience. You have a very fat cat. Oh my god, is that your cat? That is such a cute cat. The cat looks a little angry though. Luna looks a little angry. And yes, they do have a cat. That's very cool. Oh my god, fun fact. I have over 8 plushies at home thanks to my girlfriend. Oh, that is nice. I feel like plushies are always a good decoration or just thing to have at home. 80 is crazy though. I don't know how you do that. I've got like one and it's honestly taking up a lot of space, but do you have like a separate room for plushies or something? That's crazy. Meow, I want food. Meow, very fat cat. He's not fat. You're being mean. He just looks angry. Maybe you're not feeding him enough. He looks upset. Current programming skills. Oh, I like this. I like how you've done the layout. Like it's centered and it's a different, like darker purple color. Very nice. I'm not very good at them, but I try my best to improve every day. Well, now you can change that because you're good at HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You're learning more about that. 3/4 of our bed is occupied by plushies. My God, how do y'all sleep on there? That's crazy. That's so many plushies. Ooh, hobbies. Ooh, this is I love this tab. So this is something we didn't cover in the session, but you added in. I love this. Programming, anime, video games, review books, and cooking. I love Dan. Oh, this does look cool. This looks interesting. I like this animation. Mushuko Tensai. Oh, I don't know what. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what any of this means, but this is super cool. I love that you got like a GIF in here. It's not just an image, but you put in a GIF. This is amazing. Favorite games, random image. Oh, oh, that's cute. Oh, yay. More useless button. Oh, I hope you have a good day. Oh, wait, I really like this. Made with Love by June. This is such a cute website. Let's check out the dark mode. Ooh, wow, your dark mode's good. Your dark mode changes fonts. Ooh. Wow, so you've gone through dark mode and you've like changed your colors. Oh my God, yes, Orino Ferris is correct. I love these websites. Great job, people. You're doing great. This is great. Wow, this is a lot of work. Oh my God, let's go to the GitHub. Mango Caillou. Oh my God, yay. Great GitHub, 10 out of 10. 7 hours ahead. Is it one? Oh my God, is it 1:49 a.m.? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hope this workshop was useful for you, staying up so late. Oh, it's my face. Oh my God. Sorry. It's still my face. Um, Oh my gosh, it's so late for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this stream and to go along with me. Um, ooh, Lucia says so good. I agree. Mega says thank you. Oh, yes, the text shadow is a nice touch. Honestly, great work. Like this is so cool. Like it's got this like little shadow here to make it a little bit more readable. Um, ooh, the background color of the page just changes when you scroll to the bottom. Really? Maybe this is in light mode. Oh, it does. Oh my god, it changes between blue and green. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, you're right, only light mode. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Wait, I love seeing this. This is such a cool feature. Changes from blue to green and then it goes back up to green, but then it changes to ooh, it's like messing with you kind of because it's like you scroll down and then it's green. So you're like, oh, now the whole website's green. But then you scroll up and now it's blue again. That's crazy. I love this. Oh, my LinkedIn. Oh, this is Jan. This is their LinkedIn. Great LinkedIn. 10 out of 10. Ooh, funny video. Oh no, it's back to my face. I keep Xing out of these tabs. Ooh, a funny video. Wait, is this an appropriate video? Okay, it's a Rick. Oh, everyone's
Now
obsessed
that I
with the
use
Rick
Monday
roll is my
service,
word.
AI makes solving tickets my form of meditation.
To
Monday
appreciate your effort. You successfully rickrolled someone on a live stream. Oh my god, it's back to my face. That was funny. Love the joke. It was a funny video. Great link. I love this. This is great. So many cool colors. Love the text. Love the different features. This is not a useless button. I'm a very big fan of this button, the fun fact button, the useless button. This is great. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Jan. Yeah, but that is the end of the stream. I don't really see anyone else that has submitted their GitHub links for a demo, but we've also specifically got an MLH channel for this. In the MLH Discord, we've got a channel under general that says show and tell. So if some of y'all get your GitHub pages working or your Vercel deployment working and you're like, oh my God, I need to show this to somebody, please put that in the show and tell and at me. It's just Varshini from MLH. It's my tag that's on this. Is the same thing on Discord. At me. I would love to see your projects. Like if you're a little bit shy about putting it on the website, on YouTube, and online, send me that link and we can look at it separately on Discord, put it on that channel and everyone else can see your projects too. Super cool. But thank you so much to everybody for watching. Special shout out to Lucia and Mango for your amazing, amazing demos. They were genuinely so great. I love seeing y'all's projects and especially with this like really big 8-hour, like, 4-track session. It's been a long time, but y'all have genuinely done amazing and you've been a great audience throughout. So that was my feedback for y'all. So for your feedback for me, I want you to please fill out this feedback form. It is really important to us and important to me too. You can submit feedback about this stream so that once Global Hack Week is over, I can see what y'all thought about my stream and I can learn more for future tech tracks. So when I'm doing more streams or more tracks, I can really learn more about what y'all want and also submit general feedback about Global Hack Week as well. We run these events to build our community and to help our community. So they are only for y'all, like solely for you. So we want to know what you think about these workshops and these streams. So definitely fill out that feedback form. Yes, of course, Way is right. If you'd like, submit at mlh.link/GHW demo to get featured. You can submit to the channel and also to that link so that you could potentially get featured at Global Hack Week for your project demo. Both of your projects are super cool, so I would love to see them get demoed outside of this stream. But yes, of course, I'm really glad that you learned a lot, Mango. This is great. Yes, having a little trouble with GitHub, but I was surely talking. Yeah, of course. And also, I helped someone with this on one of my previous parts, but If you want, you can also just send me the link to your GitHub repo and I can deploy it. Somebody, I think yesterday or on my previous, I'm like losing track of time. Somebody was having trouble deploying their code, so I just took their repo and deployed the code and it worked for me. So if you want to do that, feel free. Otherwise, no worries. You can tag it in the chat and I would love to see it. But yeah, going back to that feedback form, feedback is super important and we would love to get some feedback from y'all. But genuinely, just congratulations to everybody on this stream. You've built and deployed your own interactive website. It interacts with you, your clicks and your scrolls. You've learned a lot of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and you've been able to work a lot over these past couple of hours. And you've gotten so far from where you started. A lot of people, I remember we did like our poll on the first day, and we were doing like we saw a lot of beginners and a lot of people that were had coded a couple of times but not enough, or not enough, coded a couple of times but wanted to get some more experience. So hopefully you got that experience. And I'm gonna stick around until 7 o'clock, so 7 p.m. CT. I'm not sure what time zone y'all are in, but the next 4 minutes, if y'all have any questions. But that is it. Also, before you go, let me get up the Global Hack Week season launch schedule, pull that up so I can tell you what the next stream is. Because if you just like can't get enough of these streams and you're like, I want to see more, don't worry, we have more. We've actually got our next session up, and there's a big gap between our next session, so no worries. Charting with DJ .js, D3.js, and React Part 3 with UT. So that's our next stream coming up, and that's the registration link for that. Oh, of course. I'm really glad that you had a lovely and fun time. I'm really glad that you learned a lot as well. Good night. Of course. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Good night. Wei says good night as well. Yeah, that's the link for UT's stream coming up at 5 a.m. CT. That is 10 hours from now. So those of y'all that are going to sleep, if you want to wake back up in 10 hours for UT stream, feel free. But I'm going to go back to the feedback link, maybe in case we have any stragglers. But that's the end of the stream. Thank you all so much for your time. I hope you found this tech track really useful, and I hope you got out with a fun website that you can use. So I'll stick around for 2 more minutes until the end of the stream in case anybody has any questions. But that's it. Feel free to hop off. Good night to those of you that have it late, and feel free to go and sleep or take a rest or take dinner or anything like that. Oh, Wei says, when is your next stream? The next stream in general is at 5 a.m. CT, so 10 hours from now. Oh, I think my next stream. I've got my next stream coming up on day 3 of Global Hack Week. So I'm running Intro to Java. I'm doing a lot of intro sessions this Global Hack Week. Just to give y'all some skills, because I've seen a lot of beginners at these sessions, and I'm going to be covering the basics of Java. So if you liked the JavaScript in this Intro to Web Development, it's very similar. So maybe you'll be interested in that. So feel free to check that out. It'll be running on July 6th at 12 p.m. CT. Yeah, not sure. Yay! Tune in to learn some Java, just like Wei, y'all. You're gonna learn some amazing Java. I have a little bit more time to build out that stream, so that one's gonna be super interactive and super fun, and I wouldn't have been stuck on the side of the road for 3 hours like today, and I'll be a little bit more energetic for that stream because I will not be taking a bus. So 1 more minute, I'll stay on, but after that, I'm gonna leave. But it was really great seeing y'all. Thank you. Go take a break. Enjoy your time and play some music until it hits 7. Bye. Okay, it's 7. I'm gonna leave now. If y'all have any questions, just at me in the Discord, and I would love to help you in the public server channel. And yeah, see y'all next time. Bye.